real estate market is nuts right now. So I must be doing well, right? Hey, what's up? This is Ed with Capstone Realty Professionals. It's Friday, the 11th of March. So I can't tell you how often I hear that when I'm introducing myself, or I let people know, hey, I'm in the real estate space. There's this assumption right now that if you're in real estate, you must be doing well because, hey, everything is flipping crazy, right? Well, it's actually kind of the opposite. The market is so tight. There's such shortage of inventory and lack of inventory that people are doing fewer deals than they've done in the past. It's similar to us coming out of this year, coming into 2020 so far. It's definitely been slower on the sales side, and I think a lot of it stems from the fact that we're seeing still such an uptick on the rental side. As I've mentioned in some videos weeks past, it's, as the rents continue to increase, it doesn't seem as appealing to want to sell the properties that we're managing. And when we're talking to owners and thinking of selling, it becomes a really interesting conversation, and just making sure that people really understand all their options. Oftentimes, it does become a time to sell, but more times than not, it's like, hey, let this thing ride out, see what happens. So interesting market. It's an interesting space. If you know people in the real estate space and you really ask them the right questions, I think a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about what happens in real estate and what realtors do from day to day. But for those of us that are in this hustle long term, who've been in it for a while, who've seen the ups and downs, it's like this is definitely an interesting period. Here is something I want to share with you for this week. I have a couple of things that I'm doing personally that I wanted to pass on and just make sure that everyone has looked and explored these options. One particular thing is setting up a family trust and really ensuring that your properties are set up and correctly from a business side of things, from a tax side of things, from an accounting side of things, making sure that everything gels the way it's supposed to ensure that you're absolutely protected. I have a great guy. His name is Rob Hopkirk. I love the guy. He helped us with our family trust. But I talked to him this last week, and he said something to me that I thought was so funny. He said that inherited properties often come with warts. And gosh, can't I tell you that is so absolutely true. From a personal experience, if you know me, you know my wife, and there's some things that we've experienced in the past, and let me tell you, we have one property that is an absolute dog. It is the worst. If you'd like to know more about that one, let me know. I can tell you how it got to dog status, but it is so bad and legit. It's almost laughable. Here I am. I own a real estate brokerage, have a decent sized portfolio, and yet we've got this property that is just one of those that I could write a book about as to what not to do and what's wrong with it. And it starts with this whole, family owned a property and didn't know what they were doing. And once that changes and you give it away, I kind of associate it with giving somebody a horse. Hey, if you give somebody rental property, you don't know if they want it, right? You don't know if they have the capacity to fix things when they break, or deal with issues as they come up, or worry about the taxes, or worry about, right? If this stuff comes, if issues come with these properties, it's not a gift at all, right? It's an absolute liability. So looking at those things, making sure your trusts are set up, I think is super important. The price of everything is going up. This week we just got kicked in the teeth with when it comes to figuring out, hey, with the turns that we're doing right now, what are the costs? What are the timelines? Everything is extending further, and that just seemed to compound this week more than it has in the past. We saw a rise in the expenses for some of our turns, even just from a painting side of things. We were exploring numbers here, and we're like, oh my gosh, look at how much more this has gone up here just in the last 6 months, 12 months, 18 months versus what we were experiencing in the past and how far that's gone up. So when you're getting ready to turn that property, don't expect that the numbers are the same. Remember that gas just went through the roof, and everybody's got to get there, right? So from bids, when we're expecting bids now on some of our properties, they're taking longer, right? It's like, oh my goodness, this week we waited a little bit longer than we have in the past just to get bids back. And that was also something that's kind of interesting compounding in this market right now. The other thing I would suggest, interest rates are going to be going up. So, if you haven't had a chance to refinance your property and pull equity out of it, you might want to also consider a HELOC. If you want to talk about that, let me know. I'm exploring those options myself. I think that, at the end of the day, if you've got debt that's sitting over here at a higher interest rate and you can now get a HELOC and maybe pay that debt off and, write off the interest from that debt, that's an amazing place to be. To me, it's almost like gaming the system, but it works really, really well when you know what's up and you have people in your corner that know what to ask. I also think that it might not be something that you need to spend right now. If you've got something coming down the road, you want to remodel your house in 2 years, and you're like, hey, I want to pull X dollars out of this property that I have so much equity in right now, but I don't want to touch it yet. Now's a good time to explore those options and make sure that you're ready for that rainy day, as interest rates are still pretty low. And again, with HELOCs, interest rates often will change, but at least you've got the ability to pull it out when you need it and not have to, go back to the drawing board and get all this paperwork together and go through the pain of dealing with that, which it is. It's exceptionally painful. I don't like the paperwork part. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. You set it up, you're in a good shape, you're able to, execute on other things as they come up. Maybe you've got, an awesome opportunity that presents itself, and without that cash readily available to you, that liquid, you're just like, dang, I missed out on another opportunity. So it's like, yeah, keep it ready, get it ready. I got to be ready to make decisions to keep this thing going, right? We're growing. We are making changes. We are really exploring this space and recognizing where our service is better than most. And, I'm liking where we are. I like this space, but I like where we are in our growth. All the team members that are here now, if you've spoken to anyone in the past, few months, you know that most of the people that you spoke to here and everyone here now is all growth mindset. Everyone knows where this place is going. Everyone knows what this looks like, and it's a fun place to be, right? It's sometimes challenging, sometimes very scary, but it's where it's at. And I appreciate you watching this. I appreciate you, trusting in Capstone, trusting what we're doing. I love the banter. I love the conversation with a lot of you because you bring such an element of realism and just and generosity, right? I love that y'all share. It's so helpful because then I see other perspectives that sometimes I would have been, blinded to, right? So I really, really, really appreciate that. For those of you that are trusting us with your sales right now or have in the last month, I totally appreciate you. This market is just nuts, and I'm glad that we were able to knock it out of the park for you. I think that it does take a lot to get this stuff done right now, but when you really look at the numbers, when you really make sense of it all and see what works for you, it becomes a very clear path to success. I appreciate you watching. Have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to connecting with you again. See ya.